It's pretty warm when all the heaters are on. And a noise.
Thank you.
Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. Welcome to our special installation service for 2023. So nice to have everyone at this special service. We'll be installing our new officers for the temple and for the BWA. So this will happen later on in the service order. Let me go through the service order with you all. For the sutra chanting, we're going to begin with the Sambujo on page 2425. You don't have to look them all up right now. I'll go through the whole order and then we'll start at the beginning. Sutra chanting, Sambujo, followed by the Hyo Byakumon that I will announce the purpose of this gathering, this installation service. Then we're going to chant the Shoshinge with the melody of the Ju Nirai. Okay. And then this will be followed by our first Gatha, Shindan's family, and then I will pick a reading by that time. This is all followed by Dharma message, which I will provide here from the podium, and then we'll have our installation of officers. Following the installation, we'll have our second Gatha, Ondok-san 2. Okay, so this will be the service, and some of the things we're doing, I'm going to have some copies of this out, and this is kind of an announcement of 850th, 800th service that we're going to have. It's presented by the Bay District Ministers and the Bay District Council. It's going to be on March 12th at the Palo Alto Buddhist Temple. And so this is a special service. There's going to be no temple services at any of our Bay District temples, and everyone is encouraged to come in person to the temple in Palo Alto. Okay, so some temples are planning carpooling, and some are renting small buses and things like this, and we'll be working out plans and arrangements from Alameda as well. So they are hoping to have a live audience there, and that's the emphasis. They're going to have a virtual element, but if at all possible, they're encouraging people to come. And so later this year, many from our temples are going to be going to Japan for the 850th. This is the 850th anniversary of Shindan Shonin's birth. And the 800 refers to the 800th anniversary of the Jodo Shinshu teachings. Okay, so this is the 850, 800, and the actual title, Buddhist Churches of America, 850th anniversary of Shindan Shonin's birth, and 800th anniversary of the establishment of Jodo Shinshu teachings. So because that's way too long to say, we just call it the 850, 800th service. To be doing on that day. So all of our temples are planning to do this, during regular services on occasion, not every Sunday, but to kind of practice, okay? And what else? Shindan's family is our Gatha for today, and this is written by Dr. Kent Matsuda, and he's going to accompany the Gatha on that day in Palo Alto. And so this is not brand new to us. This is also something we're preparing for, okay? And some of you were here earlier, and we had the Dharma School kids in here, and I told them this is Dharma School boot camp, and we're going to practice how to Oshoko, how to enter and exit when we come into any room that has altar setting. The image of Amida, when you come in, you bow and then step in, or you bow and then step out. And this is just basic protocol. And I told them when we go there on that day, hopefully they'll all be there. There's other families, other temples from the different Bay District temples. And so we want to be able to represent Alameda very well. So from the young ones, and hopefully this is reinforced by their parents and their teachers, and they become more comfortable how to enter and exit, where they're looking not just nod, but to bow calmly, mindfully, with their body not just tilted, but their whole body facing towards Amida. Okay? Not only am I describing what we did in class, I'm reminding everyone, no matter how old you are, this is what we're supposed to do when we come into or out of our rooms. Okay? So not just any room. You don't have to bow going into the kitchen. Right? Where there's an image of Amida, this is how we carry ourselves, very mindfully. Oshoko, same thing, very mindfully. Some of us, when we come up, I remind them, when you come up, hopefully you're comfortable to say, Namanda, 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 before you bow. After you put in the incense, Namanda, Namanda. And I can hear from my seat, and I should be able to hear you. You know, you're not shouting it out, but comfortably, not just saying nothing and bowing, but saying Namanda. A few of you, not a lot, a few of you do this, and it sounds so nice. And when you hear that, when you see people behaving as they should be doing, then it's noticeable. So, those people from Alameda, they do things right. They must have a nice sensei. So not only is it a reflection of you, it's a reflection of me. It's a reflection of all of us. Huh? So we try to do all these things, and it reinforces our own practice and our own comfort of how we belong and behave in the temple setting. So this is what's happening in the background of this service and our services going forward. Okay. So with that, we're going to do the chanting portion. Sambujo, page 2425. Hyobyakumon, and then Shoshinge with Junidai rhythm. Not too difficult. We all catch on quickly. All right. Okay. Namanda, 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 Namanda. じ一歩如来自由道上Today, on this occasion of the installation service for the Buddhist temple of Alameda, members and friends have reverently come before Amida Buddha with deepest reverence and thankfulness for the all-embracing wisdom and compassion of Amida. We reaffirm the three homages: Namo Kie Butsu, Namo Kie Ho, Namo Kie So. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Please repeat the Nembutsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, 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 Namanda. Nyo Rai, Namo Fukashi Ko, Ozo Bosatsu in Niji, Zai Seiji Zai Obusho, Token Chobutsu Jodo in, 国土人伝自然は本流無常修正願超つけう大偶勢五個死唯死小中中世妙正もの少女間義知恵子無難難事無所故小日学校小人説一切群上無故障本願名号少女語心身心教管理上等学所大礼拝一心滅道願成就如来所以公修世唯説美な本願会五辱悪事群上会お信如来の実言のつ一年喜愛心無難本の特例藩本上逆法再演入領収支入会一味摂取信仰上昇後
意の水波無明暗頓内心臓死運無丈夫真実真人天異名に幸福運無運無死芸名無安百千元教大教義即応超絶合悪種一切全幕本部に門心如来偶世願仏言法大小月者善人妙分大理系弥陀仏本願念仏邪見教満なく修上信行十字人に難中止難昔インド祭天子論下中華自治騎士こそ現代諸公摂生意如如来音声陽気釈迦如来両が千一種五妙難天地龍十大寺出頭世質の財波無無限先絶大乗無情報召喚理事小安楽賢治難行六六信行異行指導楽億年弥陀仏本願次年天神菩薩増論説奇妙無下公如来越衆たら見真実後世の超大誓願非流不独大崩壊立逆入大越収集特使連下造世界即所信用精進有門の人間人図入所自音自用下本師論乱両天使上皇乱小法殺来三蔵ルシ十条教凡上専業気楽法天神菩薩論中下報道因果見世願法下猫ゆたり少女死因類信心惑前本部信心法承知承知即涅槃一子無量光明道小修上回復系同者結晶道難所 唯明浄土活入万全自力円言宗円満特合感染症三不三神慶音言増末法滅同意因死傷増悪地偶然死安妖害称名化全道六名仏性意公愛上三用逆悪公明明語見輪年海流本願大智慧行者小寿今後心狂気一年相互用意大と逆三人俗称法称四条ら現心公開一大教延期安女間一切先祖終身安先人法華二度小弁流極重悪人唯小物が薬剤摂取中煩悩証言水不見大非無見上昇が本知見空病仏教連民全幕門部人新宗教書後編集戦弱本願具悪性現代生自輪伝下血地義上一生死即入弱上無意楽一心人理の入仏教大自修士と上際無変極上悪同族自主愚道心有理化心地アマンダブナマンダブガンニシクドク平等性祭どんも大心往生Namanda, Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Pretty good. We'll keep working on it. Okay. At this time, we'll have Gatha, Shindan's family. It's on page, in the White Book, 128. Please stand. Let them find that page, okay? Okay, page 128, the New Book. So this will be accompanied at that special service by Dr. Kent Matsuda. You see his name on the top of the page. And so okay, we are ready. Hold on to that book and remain standing. We're going to read these verses. And so basically this is a reflection on Shinran's life. So first verse about Shinran, second verse about his wife Eshini, third verse about their daughter Kakushini. So let's just read this without clarity. Okay? He said the Nembutsu was for everyone. Gassho and you and Buddha become one. In a world of birth and death you see, with Shinji, the Pure Land waits for me. Shindan, Shindan, neither monk nor layman was he. Nembutsu is all you need, all the rest is up to Tariki. She sacrificed much for her family, supporting Shindan through adversity. In her letters, we can all now know how things were, life after Echigo. Eshini, Eshini, she returned to her other family. Nonetheless, she always knew Shindan would never abandon me or you. The youngest daughter of Shindan, we are told, she cared for him when he became quite old. When he died, she thought that she would see special lights, but this was not to be. Kakushini, she helped we now call Honganji. Namo Amida Butsu. Shindan's words are meant to guide both you, me, and you. Okay, thank you. You can put your books away and please be seated. So I'm going to describe this a little bit further. Shindan provided this, our practice of Nembutsu, reciting the Nembutsu, that this is for everyone. And as we say the Nembutsu, we connect ourselves with Amida Buddha, this infinite reality that surrounds us. Okay? So when we make that connection, that's called Shinji. So this is one of the main words in here. So Shindan, he referred to himself as neither monk nor lay. Okay? And so these are very well-known words of him, that he's not a priest in a separate level from everyone else, nor is he just a lay person. You know, he has had this training as well. So when they banished him to Echigo province, you know, he was sent away and taken, his Buddhist name, his title was taken away from him. So this is kind of reference to that he's no longer recognized as a monk. And so he's announcing that to everyone and kind of rubbing it in the face of the authorities that mishandled in their eyes this situation. Okay. So the second verse, he's talking about his wife, Eshini, that supported him through all of the adversity that he had in his life. And then she had written these letters, the letters of Eshini, and we have books that provide these. And through reading these letters that were found fairly recently, we can get a glimpse of how life was during Shindan and Ishini's time. So kind of like a time capsule in a sense, and we get to see how things were as they lived their lives. Okay. So she passed away, and this is a reference that she returned to her other family. So, the third verse is about their daughter Kakushini. So he passed away, but it was not to be. So she was maybe a little bit disappointed that he passed away, and it was just a regular passing, just a human being, right? And so this is what the special lights that is referring to, that she thought she might see something special. But through her efforts, the Honganji was started, and the Nembutsu teachings would begin, and is provided to all of us. So this is what the song is, and Dr. Kent's version of creating this into song. And because it's a special service about Shindan Shonin's life and his teachings, we thought we would have this song as part of that service. Okay, so that is the reading that I have just provided to you. So then thank you very much. A few times we'll sing this song, and maybe through the explanation you can catch the words, and instead of just trying to keep up with everyone else. Okay, and we just had a district meeting, and I had encouraged everyone. We went through what's going to happen at the special service, and I reminded everyone, this song, please practice this song at your own temples so you know what's coming up when we come to Palo Alto. Okay. Thank you. Now we'll have our Dharma message. As soon as I get all my pages back in order. Okay, so last week we had a very special service. We had Amy provide a message, our All Beings Memorial Service that we have every year. And so it was nice, you know, to have lay speakers. Sometimes a special occasion, and we went back and forth a little bit through email and such in preparation. And so, you know, when you're not accustomed, even when you are accustomed to coming up to speak, you get nervous and you hope you have things right and you want your notes in order and all these things. And we kind of went through that, and going through what we can expect and coming up and looking out and certain things I remember, when I was first starting, my mother would say, she doesn't get nervous when she speaks in front of people, and she just pretends that all these heads are just pumpkins out there in the field. So she's talking to a whole field of pumpkins. And so that kind of reminds me. And then when we were studying and in the Christian tradition, they have what's called homiletics, and how to provide a message, a Dharma message to your members, congregation. And so in that, there was a very well-known writer and speaker. So he was sharing his Christian perspective in looking at how to provide a Dharma, a message. And so he says, even after years and years of experience, I still get butterflies, but the butterflies fly in order. If they fly in formation. So I think it's good to get a little bit nervous and you look forward to it. I was telling Sharma just a couple of nights ago, I had a nightmare that it was time for service, and it was like a huge cavernous temple, right? 4 times bigger than this, and there's only like 8 people there because they were sick and tired of me. and one guy, I wasn't ready. I had left, and as he's going out the back door, he told me, I'm not ready, right? And this is kind of my nightmare. Not only that, Dharma school kids were on the onaiji laying down, right? They're laying there. Sit up! You can't act like this when you're, this is all. And I woke up and said, wow, I better be more prepared here. So, yeah, not every week did I have such a dream, but it was unique, very unique. So anyway, last week we had a very nice All Beings Memorial, and Amy was talking about walking her dog Molly on Solano Avenue, nearby where they live, and kind of a new perspective, and when you walk your dog and you kind of get accustomed to being with a dog. If you haven't been with one, you learn to communicate. You learn their schedule, when they need to go outside or when they need to do things, if they sense something. And so you learn to speak dog, right? And so this whole different world of communication opens up, and you become more aware even of other things, other animal life, the people that you would normally ignore. Maybe they want to greet Molly, and so you greet them as well. And different things open up as you make your way through your daily walk with your dog or whoever you might have. Okay, and so it was very nice talk, very nice talk. And at the end, she was asking a question that she had come to, thinking about compassion, and what about compassion for other things that you don't care so much about, right? Mosquitoes, and what else? Maybe ants or cockroaches and pests that we consider pests of the world. How do we, should we be practicing compassion? And so we talked about that a little bit, kind of like I asked Reverend Dennis question, and exploring that, right? And how through that, we can't just be so careful that we can't even move, that we freeze ourselves. Every obento, we're cooking hundreds and hundreds of chickens who sacrifice their lives to soak themselves in teriyaki sauce and fund our temple, right? And so they sacrifice their lives. I go to give a talk, and bugs are splattering on my windshield, going from here to there, doing something should be important to give a Dharma message, but I'm killing all these beings, right? And so we have to recognize that we are part of this chain of life, chain of consumption, and we can't help it. But all the more when we do take a life or feed ourselves we have to use that energy in a positive manner, right? So we can't escape that, but at the same time, we can turn it to positive elements. So as I was thinking about that, maybe a week and a half ago or so, I received a letter from Mr. Anthony Berenger, okay? And it had been sitting there for a while. And this is correspondence that I get sometimes from the prisons. And so this is, you get very busy at the temple, and lots of things are going on, and services coming up, and different families are asking things, and different district and national events coming up, and you take care, and you get a little bit scattered. And there's a letter, I know who it's from, and I'll get to it, just not today. And a week and a half went by, and so kind of not unlike seeing a cockroach or a mosquito, and should I hit it now or should I wait? Or one of the pests in my life that's taking up my time in a way, right? I'm looking forward to it, but not just now, not right now. And so it had been sitting there, and finally I have a chance to open this letter, and this is like second or third letter, and the other letters had come from San Diego, where he's in prison, and he's serving 26 years in prison. He didn't tell me what he's serving his to be welcome into this Sangha. He thought he could become a Zen monk. Right? He didn't want to make trouble in life anymore, and he saw something in the Buddhist teaching, so he thought he could shave his head and become a Zen monk, and will you accept me at your temple? Kind of tone to the question, right? And so a little bit different from how we do things here, right? Yeah, so hold on. Okay. Yeah, so I had a real hard time reading his first letters. His penmanship was bad, and I told him when I wrote back, slow down, be really mindful when you write, because I'm not understanding everything you're saying. So slow yourself down, write as well as you possibly can, so I could read these letters. And I always think to send them pamphlets and things, but sometimes they're not accepted. So ask your supervisors, your officers, corrections officers, if you can receive books and things like that. And he hasn't answered me yet. So the second letter, this recent letter, comes from Stockton, and he said in the letter, he says it was brought up that he might have to face more charges from his original case, and that he might have more time added to his sentence. And he's already been in 26 years, and he's trying to do things well and properly, and so he's going through this struggle. He had a breakdown, so they sent him to Stockton, where it's a special kind of acute mental prison. So he was sent to this mental therapy program in a different facility in Stockton. So he's writing from there, okay? And so, again, talking about shaving his head, eating a vegetarian meal, becoming a Buddhist, a Zen Buddhist monk, and, would he be welcome in our Sangha and things like this. And basic level, I think he's asking for help, asking for support, direction, inclusion, welcome, embrace, and to different degrees. We all look for that, right? And we all come and receive that, so at different ways. And so, yeah, he wants to find something that will find a place for him to be in his life. And the letter gets a little bit scattered. He also asked for 40 long white envelopes, stamped envelopes. And through that, he sent me this, where is it? There's this place called Walking Horse. Are you familiar? Anybody? Walking Horse. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you get your candy from Walking Horse? Okay.
I know
So,
what I'm talking about. I'll talk to you
okay.
later.
Hold on. You tell me later. So, it's a mail order catalog that the inmates have access to, and so I had no idea. So I looked it up, and pages and hundreds, pages and pages and pages and pages, all the different candy you could get, all the different snacks you could get, cereal you can get, probably the worst food you could be eating. You know, everything is sugar laden and things like this, and you can contribute money into his account, and he can order all the junk he wants, right? And so he's asking for these kind of things as well. So all these kind of things, and to ask for envelopes and money and orders and all these things. So not so focused in asking me these things. Yeah. So wondering, how can I help him? You know, and usually we have different kind of pamphlets and Buddhist books, very basic Buddhist books that we have extras of, and those things that we have. He's the current inmate that is writing to me. Sometimes there are others, and they might write for a while and disappear. They might change locations, and these are the things that happen. And so during this particular time, I thought, I should look again. My father was a chaplain for prison inmates, and he would go to a number of different prisons and hold Buddhist classes and things like this. And I was reminded of and looking at some of the stories. So in one of the stories he was writing about, in Zen Buddhism, there's a koan. They call koan, what is the sound of one hand clapping? Have you heard that before? And this is part of their training to figure out what could possibly be the answer. What is the sound of one hand clapping? So one ex-con had come to, he was out, and years of correspondence with my father. So he had been in prison and got out and was working in Carson City, Reno areas, and then seemed like a couple of years, and then he decided it's time for him to go and visit his mother, who was staying in LA. So he was going to travel from Reno area to LA. My father was in Sacramento at the time, so pretty much hitchhiking. So he got to Sacramento area, and he was real tired, so he went to the park in Sacramento and took a nap, just sound asleep. And as he's sleeping, these other guys came and looking at his things was robbing him, right? They're taking his belongings, and he didn't have much, maybe a backpack worth of stuff. And so he just sound asleep, so sound, they thought, let's get his shoes too. So they're untying his shoes, and because they're taking extra time, a police officer happened by and stopped them. And so the robbery was stopped altogether, and he was able to get his stuff back. And so he continued on, came to Sacramento, went to find my father. Okay, yeah. No, my father was at the headquarters in San Francisco. Went to the office there, found my father, and they chatted for a while. It's been, 5 years or so since they have talked to each other. He thought he might be hungry, so they walked to a nearby restaurant by Japantown, had a meal, talking about things, and as they're walking, they're talking about Buddhism, and this ex-con says, Zen Buddhism has their own answer to what is the sound of one hand clapping, but my Shin Buddhist answer is this. The sound of one hand clapping is this. And he reaches over and just makes this gesture. Huh? So patting himself on the other shoulder, this is the Shin Buddhist answer to what is the sound of one hand clapping. And my father had written that. Gee, he thought, what a Joro Shinchu answer that was. Huh? So recognizing our own egotistical perspective and approach to life, we're always patting ourselves on the shoulder. And at the same time, this greater reality, Amida, is always embracing us, welcoming us. Come as you are. So in the from the perspective of ourselves, this ego-centered person, undeserving, receives this welcome from reality, from Amida. So he thought, wow, what a great answer that was. And so after the lunch, they went on, and my dad took him to Greyhound bus station. So instead of hitchhiking, get a ride to Los Angeles to be able to see his mother. And his mother had also written to my father while he was corresponding, and just so happy that her son had found this Buddhist path, straightened himself out, and so she was thanking him as well, that thank you for your classes and your guidance, that he's been able to straighten his life out. And so he knew. So as I was flipping through, there's one portion called Where's Shinda? So he's talking about another story about prisoners, and next month we have our national council meetings, and now we hold them in Zoom, but it used to be normal that you all meet in person. And he was writing about 1979. They all met in person in Seattle, and there's an ex-con living in the Seattle area. So, my father had a lot of meetings, and there's a few days of all these meetings for the National Council gathering. And so he called this prior ex-inmate, said, why don't we meet for breakfast? We can come at such and such a date and time. And so they had breakfast together and reminiscing about, what they used to talk about and how he's doing and all of this. And so after seeing him, my father said, well, at the end of our conference, we have a big banquet every year. So would you like to come to this National Council banquet? I said, sure, Sensei, I'd love that. And so okay. So I'll get you a ticket, and you come on the Saturday and sit with me. So he was invited, and he came. And some of you might know of the banquet, may have been there to some of these banquets, and big affair, gala affair, and people, not only all the ministers and all the delegates, and there's guests and dignitaries, and during those days about 500 people in attendance, so a big to-do, okay? So they start with opening remarks, presentation of awards, introduction of the dignitaries, a nice dinner is served, and keynote speaker, and all these things. And after all this program that goes on and on, for a couple hours, finally he looks at my dad and said, but where's Sheena? And after all that, he was disappointed, that it'd be such a secular event, all these things, speakers and delegates and awards, but no mention of this religious aspect of it. He thought, for sure, 500 Buddhists all gathered together, they don't even barely mention Shinran Shonin. So he was totally disappointed. Even when he was in prison, he scraped together his meager earnings, and he became one of the sustaining members of BCA, just to be a part of the Buddhist Churches of America. Maybe that membership fee at that time was $25, and he contributed to that just so he could be a part of that. So very much striking words. Where's Sheena? Like, sometimes it seems like the prisoners are they have time to read. They have time to stay with their thoughts about spirituality and such. And we who are not imprisoned, we have so many things to take care of, to deal with, to have order in our lives, and so we spend less time. They are maybe more, once they start, they're much more focused than sometimes we are. Some of the things they write, some of the things they think about and ask about, they're very, very deep. So you get a glimpse looking at that. So there's one final portion I would like to share, and this was a letter written by one of the inmates, and it goes, "Dear Reverend Fujimoto," and I read it and I feel he's writing to me, but it was to my father. "I haven't the faintest idea of what to say. We met at the Nevada State Prison, and on several occasions I felt the urge to write to you, but I could never decide what I'd say. Now I know even less. The thought comes to say that I'm with Amida Buddha, but am I? Or is Amida Buddha with me? The I and the me seem to be losing meaning. Words are becoming meaningless. Ignorant me, bouncing around in this world of samsara, dumb like before, evil as always, but Amida is everywhere. How grateful I am for the compassion that always shines on me, whether I'm aware of it or not. My faith, as little as it is, I place in the three treasures, Namo, Amida, Butsu." So, kind of a very touching letter that he was able to receive. And I think we can all hope that we come to this perspective of Buddhism and of life. So I think reflecting upon this letter I received from Mr. Anthony Berenger, and these stories from my father's book, and thinking about Amy's walk around Solano Avenue, my own conclusion is that each encounter is to be treasured. We never know, what might occur, where it might lead. And so I should remind myself to guide Mr. Berenger very respectfully and compassionately. So, in conclusion, please join me in Gassho. This is the strangest thing. Stupid, arrogantly ignorant me, bouncing around in this world of samsara, dumb like before, evil as always, but Amida is everywhere. How grateful I am for the compassion that always shines on me, whether I'm aware of it or not. My faith, as little as it is, I place in the three treasures. Namo, Amida, Butsu. Namo, Amida, Butsu. Namo, Amida, Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Okay, thank you very much for letting me share this talk with you. Okay, we have acknowledgments. I'd like to thank everyone that assisted or had a part in this service, everyone who helped to provide the flowers and the fruits and the obukban offerings on the altar, Lenny providing the accompaniment for our gathas, and everyone who's had a part, all of you who are here today, our tech people who are able to help to set up and provide our video service to those of us who are home, and special effort by so many who have come today. This is like triple the gathering of normal, so very nice to see. Not only is this our installation, but this is our New Year party too, so we appreciate all of those things. So before that, I need to do this installation of officers, and I would like to invite all our new officers to come forward. Not all at once, not all at once. Stampede going on here. Okay. All our officers for the temple board and the BWA. How many do we have today? Yay, okay. Very good. Yeah, just make a half circle in front of the altar. Yes, you can leave the door open. Do we have any others? You're the monitor, Dorothy. You're the officer monitor. You take a look. So, okay. You can't hide. Okay. We elevate each of the three treasures above personal concerns and model this behavior for the benefits of our fellow temple members. Please repeat after me. Hands in Gassho. I put my faith in Buddha.
I put my faith in Buddha.
I put my faith in Dharma.
I put my faith in Dharma.
I put my faith in Sangha.
I put my faith in Sangha.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Butsu.
Namo Amida Butsu.
Namo Butsu.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. Please turn to the Sangha. Please welcome our new board members. Okay, thank you very much. Please take your seats. That was supposed to be earlier in the service, but somebody forgot. But very nice to have our installation and always, the board works so hard to do, take care of so much business for the temple. We appreciate every board member, and the BWA is a special leadership that is provided by them in running our tobans and so many things that they take care of and looking after in supporting all of our different programs, and both are such vital organizations in our temple. So we appreciate everyone stepping forward to be a part of that. Okay. Are there guests or newcomers that would like to say hello? Please stand up and introduce yourselves if you are new here or if you've not been here for a long time, because we can't, with your mask on, we don't know who anybody is anyway. Yes, what is your name?
Good morning, I'm Danielle, my daughter Maddie.
Okay. Thank you for coming. Anyone else? Okay, everyone else is longtime friends. Okay, we appreciate everyone being here. Any other acknowledgements or announcements? Jane? Yeah, please come up.
So as Sensei mentioned, we're having this Bay District service on March 12th at the Palo Alto Buddhist Temple. But if you're planning on going, I just wanted to mention that they'll have English and Japanese speaking sermon. We're going to break out into groups as well as Dharma school. So we really encourage everyone to come in person. And so if you need a ride, we can arrange carpooling for you from Alameda, as well as we're going to be serving obento immediately after that service. So if you're planning on going and you would like to order an obento, the temple will pay for the obento. Please sign up with me. Okay, thank you.
So we'll have a few of these out, and I'll print up some more so you can take them home, glance at it, and remind yourselves of this special event coming up soon. Any other announcements? Okay, thank you very much. Let me relight the incense and we can come up to Oshoko. We'll conclude the service now. After I light the incense, I'm going to turn off the video. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda, Namanda, Namanda. Ron, you want to start?